is the Boston Celtics. Now, Celtics fans, before you come at me and say, Kenny, that's way too low. We have one of the best net ratings, if not the best net rating. No, they're second because obviously OKC exists. The second best net rating in all of basketball. What are you not seeing about a team to have us in number 8? Hey, Kenny, we got Jason Tatum coming back. Reminder, don't you forget Jason Tatum's going to be back after the All-Star break by all reports. And I understand it. I completely understand it. I still believe, and this is just a snapshot of what I feel right now. Ask me again in a month, maybe in number 3, maybe in number 10, maybe off the list. I don't know. But as I watch this team, I still think there's something missing. Maybe what's missing is Jason Tatum. But I keep trying to like pump the brakes. I feel like most people feel this way too. But like for that small percentage of people say like we getting Jason Tatum back, we're back. Like I want to pump the brakes just a little bit. I just don't believe that Tatum is going to come back and look like an All NBA first team player, which is what he was for the last however many seasons. But I got y'all at number 8. We did the whole thing about the Celtics maybe like a few episodes ago, and I was telling you how I was trying to explain Mazzulla ball to one of my homies, right? The social team clipped that up. They put it up on social, and the comment section helped me a ton. So I want to say thank y'all to the comment section because y'all basically explained Mazzulla ball to a T, and I did hit my boy up. I actually called him. I FaceTimed him about it afterwards because I don't know if he was still asking or cared about what Mazzulla ball was, but I did to explain to him Mazzulla ball is, of course, getting up a lot of 3-pointers, but more than anything, it's about winning on those margins, winning the rebounding battle, don't turn the ball over, yada, yada, yada. And obviously that is a recipe for success, as you can see, even though Kevin Herter's game they asked 2 nights ago. Shout out to Kevin Herter. Number 7 on my list, Houston Rockets. Ooh. Rockets. What can I say? Another team that like they give you sometimes weeks at a time. You're like, oh snap! To be top 5 and offense and defense, Kenny. What are we missing for you not to see us as one of the top, even 5 contenders across basketball? I don't know. It's obviously a very, very good team. You know what it is? This is what it is, actually. I do know. I figured it out in the last 3 seconds. The offensive identity scares the hell out of me in the postseason. We talked about this before. Obviously, he's got better now that Kevin is on the team. But 90% of their identity is getting like rebounding their own misses and getting second chance opportunities. And it scares me to think about a 7-game series where that is as important as anything in your offense. Could it work? It almost did against the Warriors last season, right? Like there's a world where this could work, but could it work for 4 straight series? I don't know. So though I still have some stock in them being contenders, I'm not saying they're on the outside looking in. I just have them a little bit lower on the list, maybe than consensus. That's all. Oh, well, I will say I've been loving Kevin Durant. Oh my goodness. We talked a lot about how the Phoenix Suns were unwatchable last season. This is the polar opposite of that. God damn, Kevin Durant is so good at basketball. You kind of forget because that team was so trash last season. I'm loving everything about Kevin's season, from the defense to the not missing any shots ever to just being a fun follow on Twitter and everything. So Kevin, you already know this. Love you. One of my goats. Number 6 on the list is the Minnesota Timberwolves. It may feel weird to put this here because they are on a 4-game losing streak and they lost to some bad teams, including the Chicago Bulls. They struggle to close games as they have basically over the last 3 seasons. All of their recent losses are by less than 5 points, which is nuts to say aloud. A 4-game losing streak where every game was by 2 possessions is crazy. That's the reality of the Minnesota Timberwolves. But I do like a lot of things about this team. I do believe that this is a team that will try to be pretty active on the deadline. Again, maybe it's a snapshot before, but afterwards, after the trade deadline, maybe they get higher, maybe they get lower. But Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert on the back end, Julius Randle just having a sneakily amazing season, Jaden McDaniels. The list goes on and on about guys that I really like and trust. But when it stops, it really stops. You know what I mean? You have some of those players like I do kind of trust them. They don't got a lot of those guys. They got guys either I really trust completely or I just don't trust at all. And that's kind of a scary place to be. And some of those players that I don't trust at all might have to get playoff minutes. So boom. But they're number 6. Number 5 is the Spurs. Kenny, we're the 2 seed. What else do we have to do? I think you got to earn some stripes. I think that's what it boils down to. I do believe there's a chance. I mean, I got you on this list for a reason. You're number 5. I do think there's a chance. But the more I watch and the more I think about it, I just find it hard to believe a team with 0 play. Well, not 0 because De'Aaron Fox and Harrison Barnes are here and they have playoff series under their belt. But for the most part, let's say 90% of the roster, and Luke Cornett's here, obviously NBA champion, but 90% of the roster has no playoff experience. 3 of the top 5 guys on the team are either a rookie, a sophomore year player, or a third year player. It's just scary. And maybe Wemby is so much of a alien that none of that will matter in the grand scheme of things. But I do feel like you have to earn your stripes. I do feel like you got to get into the postseason. You got to get punched in the nose before you figure out who you are as a team truly. And we find out if you are a team that can win a championship. And I feel like this is a team that can get out of the first round, can get out of the second round, but eventually they need to get punched in the face, punched in the nose for us to really know what the team is truly about. Number 4 on my list is the Knicks. I flip-flop between them and Detroit 100 times. The Knicks just had 2 great wins. The game where they held the Brooklyn Nets to 66 points. And then the game they went into, is it still called Wells Fargo in Philly? They went into Wells Fargo and got a win where basically their big fella, I'm not going to talk about it. This team has the highest potential to jump up. Obviously, they just came off that one stretch where they didn't even look like an NBA team. So they're a wishy-washy team, but I do think it says a lot about this team over these last 2 games. They were able to put together a dominant performance and I wouldn't use the word sneak out a win, but a clutch win against a good 76er team. I still think I got a lot of stock in them being a championship contender. But as of today, I do have the Detroit Pistons 1 spot higher than them by maybe 1%. Like I've been flip-flopping like crazy. A lot of things that I don't love about this Detroit Pistons team, but the thing that I love the most is that it just reminds me of when I was a kid. It reminds me of some grinded out 89 to 87 games. Like, that's how good of a defensive team they are. And even though their supporting cast is the best around Cade, they still do find ways, right? It ain't like over the last couple week or so, go look at Cade's numbers. It ain't like he's playing like an all-NBA first-team player as of right now. And they still have been able to get wins when Cade can have a 12-point performance and not as efficient as he normally would be. And that means something. That has to mean something. That we keep seeing, like Duncan Robinson hitting 5 threes in a game on 3 nights in a row, or Jalen Duren in the game when Cade Cunningham doesn't play is getting the ball off the rim and going coast to coast and so on and so forth. Again, I will say I would love for this team to go out there and make a move, but even if they didn't, I still think they're a championship contender. Number 2 on my list is the Denver Nuggets, and as you can imagine, OKC's number 1. I think the gap between the Denver Nuggets and OKC is not as large now as it was, in my mind, a month ago. Seeing a guy like Peyton Watson, seeing, Aaron Gordon come back, even though I'm pretty sure he got re-injured in their game yesterday. So I'm hoping to hear good news about that. Peyton Watson, Jamal Murray should be a first-time All-Star. Even a guy like Zignaji, who was unplayable for the first however many years of his career, even though he got that $32 million contract, he looks like a genuine NBA player. And for the first time in the Jokic era outside of their first championship run, I can say that this team has genuine depth behind it. And that just hasn't been the case. Tim Hardaway Jr. is like a 6th man of the year candidate. He comes in, he's a flamethrower. He always has been. And if there's any true threat to OKC this season, as easily as Denver. And honestly, with health, if that series did happen, I'm thinking about it. I don't think I'm thinking about it much when OKC goes against any other team in the Western Conference. That's one where I'm like, I gotta really sit down and think about it. And then again, in my number 1 spot, we do have the OKC Thunder, who did have the little stretch where they weren't looking like a champion. Well, I'm sorry, they weren't looking like the greatest team of all time, 6-6-12. They just lost their 9th game, if I'm not mistaken. So dang it, the likelihood of them winning the rest of the games this season is pretty low. So greatest team of all time, out the window, out the door. But this team is still incredible. The defense is still incredible. They do have, like, the Pacers loss a few nights ago showcase to you how bad their offense could be on any given night, where Shea can have 50 and it still doesn't matter because nobody else on the team could throw a rock in the ocean. But I don't know. I don't know if that's enough for me to be ultra biased, like some people may be asking for them, since the gap between them and the rest of the league is not that crazy. Still love watching this team play. Still think Shea is the MVP of the league and one of the greatest players ever. Full stop. I just think he's one of the greatest players ever. And anybody denying that is not really locking into what they should be locking into. But they had a really good stretch where they went against, on 2 back-to-back games, they beat the San Antonio Spurs after the Spurs kicked their ass three times in a row, and then went into Houston and won in Houston. And, like, those are pretty dominant wins. And that kind of showcased that, like, hey, we still got a lot that we can do. The game that Shea missed, they only lost by 2. So, like, still my favorite to win the championship.